Alright, this is a special story here. Can anybody, now look at it, this one's for a goose, it's a big one, right? Okay, and I said this one was for a what?
Duck.
A duck, right? These are all my calls. Now this is the special one. Look how much smaller this one is.
Oh my god, small.
Okay.
That must be a baby.
Well, that's actually from a Greenwinged Teal. Remember I said blue-winged teals earlier? Okay, this is from a Greenwinged Teal. It's a little different looking. It's a small duck. Okay. What did I say about the teal? They don't stick around long, right? They don't have a lot of fat on them. They come through out of Canada, fly down through here in the fall, and they leave here usually pretty early. Some of them stick around, but when it's cold out, they don't want to be around here, okay? That's a Greenwinged Teal. Now this is a funny story. I got this band, I shot the bird over here on the side of that house over there in the marsh. And this is before the computer, being able to find out where they were at in the computer. I called the number, like I said, and they told me that, you know, okay, well, we haven't got any information for you right now, so we'll send it to you. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I think it was 5 months later. I'm thinking, well, I just give up. They're not going to send me this. I found out, though, by what we say about what we tell them where we're at, okay? It told me, I got a report finally, it told me where they had banded it at, okay? You never believe how far away this bird was. It was way up on the north side, past Toronto, a good 600 miles. I mean, it was all of 850 miles to here when I did it on Google. Okay? Was it a mallard? It was a Greenwinged Teal. So 850 miles this bird flew. But here's what's funny. You know, I think they didn't turn the information in. But it said that they put this band on like 2 weeks before I shot it. Now I think they just filled out the information. But I'm thinking about this, you know, this bird got banded and he flew all the way down here, and then I harvested him over here in the marsh. But, you know, what was interesting, most things about it was how that bird had flown that far.
In 2 weeks?
Well, if it was 2 weeks or not, you know, that was what they said. But kind of wild, though. So that's kind of special to get one like this. Now I've seen these little bands on regular birds, you know, like robins or cardinals, things like that. You can get, they're even smaller. They're like really tiny. You guys ever heard of a carrier pigeon? They got this group of guys out here that will race pigeons. You ever heard of those guys? What they'll do is they'll band them though, so they know who they were, where they came from. Okay, but they'll release a carrier pigeon is trained to come back to the house. Okay, but I can take it anywhere I want, let go of it, and it should come back to where he was homed at. Homing pigeon. Okay, and I've seen them on those too, little tiny bands. But this is for bird tracking, just to see where they come from and where they went and how old they are and where they go. You know, you could catch a bird. Oh, here's a good one. Okay, we were out there catching these geese in the springtime when they lose their feathers, because it's called what when they lose their feathers? Molting, right? Right? We catch him and say he's already got one of these on his leg. That could happen, right? And then what does it tell us? What does it tell us? Right. Right. They were from somewhere else, and they're here now, and we caught them, and we found out where they're from because they got the information. They might not have been banded here; it might have been somewhere else, right? Yeah. How about England? That's really far away. Yeah, right here.
Yeah, sure. This is Ella. She's a female snowy owl. We're thinking she's about 4 or 5 years old, or 5 or 6 years old. We've actually had her for about 4 years. She came into the center where we work in Medina, and she had flown into a power line and fractured her wing. So unfortunately, she's unable to fly anymore. But we were able to rehabilitate her and bring her down here every year for everybody to see. These guys aren't native to Ohio. They will come down here for a couple weeks in the winter, usually, and a lot of times they're hunting up around Burke Lakefront Airport. And then they'll go home to Ellesmere Island, Canada, is where they're native to. And she weighs about 4 pounds. So, and then with all the owl species, they're able to turn their heads. I'm sure, as you can see, they turn their heads quite a bit. So the reason that they're able to do this is we have 7 vertebrae in our neck. These guys have 14, so they have double. So they can actually turn their head 280 degrees, whereas we can go about 150. So they have quite a bit of distance, and the reason for that is their eyes are so big. They don't have any muscles in their skull, so they can't turn their eyes. Their eyes are stationary. So that's why they're able to. They have that adaptation where they can turn their heads.
This is Atlas. He's 2 years old. He was found injured in Muskingum County. We don't know really how he got injured, but you can see that his wing did mend, but he can't fly well enough to be released anymore. So now he has an important job as an educational ambassador because he's a really calm bird. And of course, you know, peregrines catch the majority of their food off the wing in the sky, so you can see he's got the long toes to catch birds in the sky. What he'll do is he'll go straight up and then he'll tuck his wings in and he'll come down at what they call a stoop, 200 to 240 miles per hour. So he's got, in his nostrils you can see he's got those little baffles in there. That's because if you or I were coming down at that speed, it'd take our breath away. But for him, it enables him to keep breathing while he's doing this. He'll bump a bird and then he'll circle around and he can catch it before it even hits the ground. So these guys are really the super athletes.